Hi, I'm Dr. Divina Lopez, a board-certified pediatrician with over 10 years of experience in pediatrics, and you are listening to Dancing into Parenthood. Welcome back, everyone. Today's topic is so important for me to talk about. It's a topic that I think makes most pediatricians cringe because basically we speak about this almost on a daily basis. And I gotta say, the truth is that sometimes I don't even want to tell people that I'm a pediatrician because I know this is going to be a question that I'm probably going to be asked. So I want to tell you a few things about vaccines. I'm not going to go into talking too much about vaccines themselves, but I really want to give you good information about why so many people fear vaccinating their children. And this vaccine refusal seems to be increasing. I have a certain approach when I have parents that refuse vaccines, and it may be different from other pediatricians. My approach really is I respect parents' decisions. That doesn't mean that I don't think it's important for you to vaccinate your child. I think it's very important for you to vaccinate your child. I made sure my own son got all his vaccines right on time because I know the science behind it and I trust it, and I felt confident when I gave it to my son because I wanted to protect him. When I have a family who comes in and it's a physical and it's the baby's physical time to get vaccines and vaccinated, and they refuse, I always want to know the story about why they're choosing to refuse a vaccine. Because what I've noticed is that for most people that refuse to vaccinate their children, there's this fear and this anxiety that they may do the wrong thing for their child. And so I know that that's usually where it's coming from. So first of all, let me just tell you that vaccines really save lives, right? Think about why vaccines came along. So, for example, actually, I was listening to a TED Talk because I was doing some research about this fear that parents have when it comes to vaccines. And I found this amazing TED Talk. And one of the things that was included in this TED Talk was a statement by Benjamin Franklin himself, who had lost a child at 4 years old because of smallpox, and so he chose not to vaccinate his child. His child ended up dying at the age of 4 of smallpox. And basically, in Benjamin Franklin's statement, he's talking about how he regretted not vaccinating his child. And so basically, vaccine refusal is not new, right? I mean, if you think about it, Benjamin Franklin lived in the 1700s. So it's not new. So where does this fear come from? And one of the things that this speaker addressed in the TED Talk was how, because we are animals, right, we have this instinct to protect our children. And so it's that fear that you may be doing the wrong thing for your child. It's this fear that you're putting in a substance into your child's body and think that this substance may hurt your child. You've heard so many different stories. I'm sure especially with the internet, social media, you've definitely had to read some sort of story or been told a story. And so because of that fear and the way our brains think, it's just a protective mechanism. You're trying to be the best parent that you can be, and you're trying to make good decisions for your baby. So I know that it's this fear that's keeping you from making the decision to vaccinate your child. So let me just start off by saying that vaccines work in two ways. One is that when that substance is injected into the body, your body makes something called antibodies against it. And this is what happens when any of the illnesses, like those germs, come into your body naturally starts to make these antibodies to kill that infection. Okay? The other way that vaccines help to protect everybody is by creating this herd immunity. Because obviously, if you have less people who are infected with the disease, it's less people being exposed to it, less people getting sick. Okay. Now, if you understand that, then you understand that with less and less people vaccinating their children, this herd immunity is going away. And so I want people to keep that in mind. So it is important for two reasons. Number one, yes, you want the protection yourself, but you also want to be a part of this herd immunity so that other people are not getting sick. And you have to also think there are some people that cannot get vaccinated. And so, you want to keep those people protected as well. Now, what do vaccines actually do, right? What or how important are they? Are they considered safe? Are they really effective? We know that they're effective, right? Because things like polio were eradicated. And now, because we're not vaccinating our children, we're seeing more and more illnesses. For example, this past year, we had a measles outbreak in Brooklyn, New York, because people were choosing not to vaccinate. We've seen things like pertussis killing babies again because babies were too young to get vaccinated, or people are choosing not to vaccinate. And so, these are real diseases that really can cause significant consequences, lifelong consequences for your children. What are the side effects of vaccines? So most people don't understand that the risk of getting, or not the risk, the side effect of getting a vaccine is having some discomfort, may cause some pain, some redness, tenderness at the site of injection. But when you consider that, that's nothing compared to getting the illness, the disease itself, right? The most serious side effect that can happen from a vaccine is having an allergic reaction, and that is really rare. So I want people to really keep that in mind. The thing is that because we're not seeing these diseases anymore, or we're really not seeing how sick people get from certain illnesses and how terribly this can affect them for the rest of their lives, because of that, we're thinking that the side effect of the vaccine is actually worse than getting the illness. But if you really look and see what these illnesses can do to someone and how they can affect them, I think you would have a totally different concept about vaccinating your children. So parents love to ask me this question, which vaccines are the most important then? And my answer always is they're all important. I really can't pick and choose and tell you, that like tetanus is more important than polio or whatever. I can't do that. That's really tough. I've seen horrible things with pneumococcal vaccines. So sometimes they say, if you're going to pick one, then pick that one. But they're all really important. And, you want to give your child protection against tetanus, pertussis, which is whooping cough. You want protection against meningitis. You want protection against polio. You want protection against the flu. You want protection against measles, mumps, and rubella. You want protection against all of these things because they can all really seriously affect your child. And then, sometimes people tell me, oh, well, I did have chickenpox when I was younger, so why is there a chickenpox vaccine now? I did just fine. And the reason being is because, again, you can have a case of chickenpox where your body can fight it off. You can have a case of chickenpox that can lead into some really terrible illnesses, like a really horrible pneumonia. You can have lots of different things that happen from these viruses, and great if it didn't happen to you, but if there's a vaccine that can prevent your child from suffering from that illness, why wouldn't you want to do it? So getting back to my approach with parents is, number one, I don't like vaccinating any child if a parent is really nervous, anxious, is not confident about doing it. So what I usually tell my parents that have this anxiety, are refusing to vaccinate, I say, you know what? Today is not the right day to do it. I want you to have some good information. You can ask me all the questions you want. I'd rather that we do it on a day that you feel confident, that you feel like you're doing the right thing for your child. Because I never want a parent to feel like they're doing something to hurt their child. I ask parents to have a good look at resources. So not just to Google, but look at the American Academy of Pediatrics. Have a look at the CDC website, NIH. But don't just go on Google and type in vaccines, because you're going to get scared from the stories that people tell. And, it's just not a good way to make a decision for your child. You want good information. You want to have a provider that you can have an honest conversation with. You want to trust the person giving the vaccine. You want to feel like you are doing the right thing for your child. And that for me is so important. I'm all about empowering parents. I want you to know, and I want you to believe in your heart that you are protecting your child and that you're making a good decision for your child. So like I said, I don't pressure parents. I let them know that I think it's very important, just like I'm telling you. And I let them know the side effects. I tell them, if there's a fever that day, we'll make sure that there's Tylenol available. I'll tell you how much you need to give. And I also give some other advice on how to soothe the baby that day, because, the baby may cry a little more that day. The baby may not sleep so well because of the pain. It's usually over after the first day. And I want parents to just be confident in me. and as a pediatrician, and also in themselves, that they're making the right decision for their child. And so I'm going to leave you with that. You can always ask me questions. You can leave me a question on the website. It's www.drdivinalopez.com, and I'll be more than happy to have that conversation with you. But if you're having some sort of fear or anxiety or refusal to vaccinate your child, please have a good conversation with your pediatrician. I think that's so important. All right, my cutie pie parents, I want to leave you with this, and I hope that this was informative, and I hope that you felt empowered by this talk. Bye.
To listen to more podcasts, please visit us at drdivinalopez.com and follow us on Instagram at Dr. Divina Lopez. Thank you for listening. Please keep in mind that all advice given in this podcast is general information. To understand your specific situation, you must consult with your pediatrician.